you ever noticed how everything changes the moment she starts pulling away? One day, you're getting constant messages, warm attention, maybe even affection. Then suddenly, without warning, the temperature drops. The messages become shorter. The replies take longer. The warmth disappears like morning mist. And what do? You panic, you double text, you ask what's wrong, you try harder, give more attention, maybe even apologize for things you didn't do. You feel that knot in your stomach growing tighter with each hour of silence. You check your phone obsessively, analyzing her last message for clues, scrolling through her social media to see if she's online, if she's posting, if she's with someone else. You've just walked into one of the oldest psychological traps in human relationships. Because here's what nobody tells you. When a woman pulls away, it's rarely about what you think it is. It's not random. It's not weakness. It's not confusion. In the Machiavellian logic of female psychology, withdrawal is a power strategy, emotional manipulation, and psychological control. Whether she's doing it consciously or instinctively, she's activating a precise dynamic of indirect seduction designed to flip the script and test your dominance. You think she's upset, you think she needs space, you think maybe she's losing interest. But what if I told you that in most cases, it's exactly the opposite? What if her pulling away is actually a calculated move to increase her value in your eyes, to make you chase, to see if you'll break? Today, you'll finally understand the hidden mechanics behind female withdrawal. You'll see through the smoke and mirrors, and most importantly, you'll learn the one Machiavellian rule that will flip the entire game in your favor. Because the truth is brutal but simple. The one who shows need first loses. And right now, if you're reacting to her withdrawal with anxiety and pursuit, you're already losing. You need to understand something fundamental about female psychology that most men never grasp. Women operate on a completely different emotional wavelength than you do. While you're direct, linear, problem-solving oriented, she's playing a multi-dimensional chess game where emotions are the pieces and power dynamics are the board. Female withdrawal works as a psychological trigger designed to create uncertainty, anxiety, and emotional dependency in you. It's a game of controlled scarcity. By distancing herself, she forces you out of your position of power and into pursuit mode, elevating her own value in the attraction game. Think about it. When something becomes scarce, what happens to its perceived value? It skyrockets. When she was always available, always responsive, always warm, you took it for granted. You felt secure, maybe even a little too comfortable. But the moment she pulls that attention away, suddenly you want it more than ever. This isn't coincidence. This is psychology. Let me paint you a picture you've probably lived through. She stops responding to your messages. Not completely, that would be too obvious. But where she used to reply within minutes, now it takes hours. Where she used to send paragraphs, now you get one-word answers. Where she used to use emojis and exclamation points, now it's just periods. You see her online. You see her posting stories. You see her liking other people's photos. But your message, left on read for 6 hours. This strategic silence serves multiple purposes in her psychological playbook. First, it creates anxiety. Your brain, wired for connection and validation, starts firing alarm signals. Something's wrong, it tells you. Fix it. Do something. And like a puppet on strings, you dance. Second, it shifts the power dynamic. When you were the one taking your time to reply, when you were the one being casual and relaxed, you held the power. Now, she's got you checking your phone every 5 minutes like an addict waiting for a fix. Third, it tests your emotional stability. Can you handle the uncertainty? Will you crack under the pressure? Or will you remain centered and unaffected? She's watching, evaluating, categorizing you based on your response. But the withdrawal goes deeper than just delayed messages. You've experienced the calculated coldness, haven't you? Where she interacts with you, but it's like talking to a stranger. The warmth is gone. The inside jokes fall flat. The conversations that used to flow for hours now feel like pulling teeth. She'll respond to your good morning with morning. She'll answer your how was your day with fine. She'll react to your attempts at humor with LOL. Not even a real laugh, just 3 letters that feel like a slap in the face. This isn't her being genuinely uninterested. This is her creating emotional distance to see how you'll react. Will you try harder? Will you become more entertaining, more accommodating, more desperate for her approval? Or will you match her energy and pull back yourself? Every time you try harder in response to her coldness, you're failing the test. You're showing her that her withdrawal has power over you. You're demonstrating that your emotional state depends on her validation. And in the harsh reality of attraction dynamics, nothing kills desire faster than neediness. Here's where it gets truly Machiavellian. She's not cold to everyone, just to you. You see her on social media, laughing with friends, posting fun stories, commenting on other people's posts with enthusiasm and warmth. She's not depressed. She's not going through something. She's selectively indifferent to you. This selective indifference is a masterstroke of psychological manipulation. It accomplishes several things simultaneously. It shows you that she's perfectly capable of being warm and engaging, just not with you. This creates a specific type of pain that cuts deeper than general coldness. It makes you question your worth. Why is she like this with me, but not with others? It demonstrates her social value. Look, she's saying without words, I have other people in my life. Other sources of validation, other options. You're not special, you're not irreplaceable, you're just one of many. And right now, you're not even the most interesting one. It creates competition, anxiety. Your primitive brain starts seeing threats everywhere. Who are these people she's being so friendly with? Are there other men? Is she moving on? The fear of loss kicks into overdrive, and then comes the coup de grace. The subtle, or not so subtle, hints about other men in her orbit. Maybe she mentions how James from work made her laugh today. Maybe she posts a story at a restaurant with a man's hand visible in the frame. Maybe she suddenly has plans on Friday night, but won't say with whom. These aren't accidents, these aren't coincidences. These are calculated moves designed to trigger your competitive instincts and create urgency in your behavior. You see, women understand something about male psychology that most men don't even understand about themselves. You're biologically wired to compete. When you perceive another man as a threat to your mating opportunities, your brain floods with a cocktail of hormones designed to make you fight for what's yours. But here's the trap. The moment you start competing, you've already lost. Because competition implies that you're trying to win something. And trying to win implies that you could lose. And the fear of loss makes you act from a place of scarcity, not abundance. All of this, the silence, the coldness, the indifference, the alternatives, it's not random female behavior. It's a sophisticated technique of emotional control where she assumes command of the relationship dynamics while you become reactive. You need to understand the psychology behind this. Women are masters of indirect communication and emotional influence. While men typically use direct force or logic to get what they want, women have evolved to use subtler, more psychological methods. And withdrawal is one of the most powerful tools in their arsenal. When she withdraws, she's not just taking away her attention, she's taking away your emotional stability. She's creating a vacuum that your neediness rushes to fill. She's setting up a dynamic where you're constantly off balance, constantly seeking her approval, constantly trying to get back to how things were. And the more you try, the more you chase, the more you demonstrate lower value, because high-value men don't chase. High-value men don't need anyone's validation. High-value men have options and abundance, not scarcity and desperation. Here's the critical point that most men miss entirely. The moment where everything is won or lost. If you react by chasing, asking questions, demanding answers, or showing need, you sign your own death warrant in the game of social and emotional value. Your status doesn't just decrease, it collapses. You transform from prize to pursuer, from hunter to hunted, from the one who chooses to the one who begs to be chosen. Let me be brutally honest with you. The moment you send that double text asking, "Are you okay?" or "Did I do something wrong?" you've lost. The moment you start overcompensating with extra attention, gifts, or promises to change, you've lost. The moment you let her withdrawal dictate your emotional state, you've already lost. You think you're being caring, you think you're fighting for the relationship, you think you're showing her how much she means to you. But what you're actually doing is handing her all your power on a silver platter. Because here's what happens in her mind when you chase. First, she realizes her strategy is working. The withdrawal created exactly the reaction she was testing for. You're affected, you're needy, you're controllable. Second, her attraction plummets. Despite what romantic movies tell you, women aren't attracted to men who need them. They're attracted to men who want them but don't need them. There's a massive difference, and your behavior is screaming need from every pore. Third, she categorizes you. In her mental filing system, you go from the puny, strong, attractive, mysterious folder to the weak, needy, predictable folder. And once you're in that second folder, it's almost impossible to get out. The man who doesn't understand this loses control of the relationship. You enter a downward spiral of emotional submission, where her moods dictate your days, where her attention becomes your drug, where her approval becomes your oxygen. You become a puppet, and she holds all the strings. But it gets worse, because once she knows she has this power over you, the withdrawals become more frequent, the tests become harder, the emotional manipulation becomes more intense. Why? Because she's lost respect for you. And when a woman loses respect for a man, the relationship is essentially over, even if it limps along for months or years. You've probably seen this play out. Maybe you've lived it. The relationship becomes a constant cycle of her pulling away and you chasing, her creating problems and you trying to fix them, her being cold and you trying to warm her up. It's exhausting, it's degrading, it's the opposite of what a relationship should be. So what's the answer? What do you do when you feel her starting to pull away, when the messages get shorter, when the warmth disappears, when the tests begin? The golden Machiavellian rule: when she pulls away, don't react. Withdraw twice as much. Whoever controls scarcity controls the game. This isn't about playing games for the sake of it. This is about understanding fundamental human psychology and using it to maintain your value and self-respect. When you mirror and amplify her withdrawal, you flip the entire script. Apply exactly the same behavior: absolute silence, total focus on yourself, increased social value, and emotional detachment. But here's the key. You don't do it as revenge or manipulation. You do it because you genuinely have better things to do than chase someone who's pulling away. When she takes 6 hours to reply, you take 12. When she gives you one-word answers, you don't respond at all. When she's cold and distant, you're not even there to notice because you're busy living your life. This isn't petty. This is powerful. Because what you're subcommunicating is that your world doesn't revolve around her. Your emotional state isn't dependent on her attention. Your value isn't determined by her validation. Show, consciously or not, that your attention is rare and selective. Subcommunicate that you're desired, busy, and impossible to pressure emotionally. This doesn't mean posting fake stories with other women or trying to make her jealous. That's transparent and weak. Instead, genuinely fill your life with activities, goals, and people that matter to you. When she pulls away, instead of creating a vacuum in your life, you barely notice because you're too busy crushing it at the gym, closing deals at work, hanging out with friends, pursuing your passions. The best part, this isn't an act. This is how you should be living anyway. Her withdrawal becomes a gift, reminding you to focus on yourself instead of making any woman the center of your universe. When you don't chase, something fascinating happens in her brain. The silence becomes deafening. The lack of reaction becomes a reaction in itself. She starts checking her phone, wondering why you haven't messaged. She starts questioning whether her strategy backfired. The mental script flips completely. Instead of you wondering what she's doing, she's wondering what you're doing. Instead of you feeling anxious about losing her, she's feeling anxious about losing you. Instead of you needing her validation, she's seeking yours. This is the moment when the power dynamic shifts back in your favor. But here's the crucial part. You don't gloat. You don't suddenly become available again. You maintain your new position of strength. Because the truth is, once you've experienced the peace of not needing someone's validation, once you've felt the power of being truly outcome independent, you'll never want to go back to that needy, anxious version of yourself. The Machiavellian lesson is simple and brutal. The first one to show need loses. When she pulls away, whoever disappears first wins. But let me be clear about something. This isn't about being cold or cruel. This isn't about punishing women or treating relationships like war. This is about maintaining your self-respect and understanding the dynamics at play. A woman who truly values you won't play these games. She won't need to test you constantly. She won't withdraw to create anxiety. But when you encounter one who does, and you will, you need to know how to respond. The paradox is this: by being willing to walk away, you become more attractive. By not needing her, you become more desirable. By focusing on yourself, you become the kind of man women don't want to play games with because they're too afraid of losing you. So let me ask you this. Have you experienced this kind of withdrawal? Have you felt that anxiety, that need to chase, that desperate desire to fix things? How did you handle it? And more importantly, how will you handle it next time? Because there will be a next time. Whether with this woman or another, you'll face this test again. And when you do, you'll have a choice. React like every other man, with neediness, anxiety, and pursuit, or respond like a man who understands the game, with strength, indifference, and self-focus. The choice is yours. But now, at least, you understand the rules. Comment below and share your experiences with female withdrawal. Have you seen these patterns in your own relationships? What worked for you and what didn't? Like this video if it opened your eyes to dynamics you hadn't seen before. Subscribe to the channel because I'm going to keep revealing truths about male-female dynamics that nobody else will tell you. Hit the notification bell because you don't want to miss what's coming next. And don't forget to check out my previous videos on female psychology and Machiavellian dating strategies. They're all connected, all part of understanding the complex game of modern relationships. Remember, in the game of power and attraction, the one who cares less controls more. When she pulls away, don't chase, disappear, and watch how quickly the game changes in your favor. Stay strong, stay focused, and most importantly, stay scarce. Until next time, gentlemen.